What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. In this video, I'm going to be doing a penetration test with my 416 Ruger elephant gun, and I'm going to be shooting it at some sheet metal. I want to see how many sheets of sheet metal I can penetrate through with this rifle. And the sheet metal that I'm going to be using is just some standard 16 gauge sheet metal, okay? So this is a weldable steel sheet. It has a mill finish, 16 gauge. It's 1 foot by 1 foot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack these sheets about 1.5 inches apart using a special wooden jig that I made. And the jig holds the sheets vertically and it spaces them about 1.5 inches apart. And I'm going to shoot at the sheet metal with 2 different loads out of this Ruger M77 Hawkeye guide gun. This rifle has a 20-inch barrel and it's absolutely gorgeous. I did do some customization to this rifle. I have some custom tritium night sights installed by Tooltech Gun Sight. I have these Alaska Arms LLC quick detach solid steel rings. I got an Athlon 1:6 by 24 scope. And my favorite thing about this rifle is this cartridge cuff. And if you want to get a cartridge cuff like this, check the description below this video for information. And I have a link to masonleather.com. And if you use the promo code NY10, you can get 10% off. And what I love about these cartridge cuffs is that they hold the rounds nice and snug, and they're not too tight and they're not too loose, so you can easily take them out if you need to in a stressful situation. But it's really high quality leather. As you can see, the loops are really thick leather, and unlike those cheap cartridge cuffs that you buy for like 10 bucks that loosen up after one hunting season, these won't loosen up on you. I've had this one for probably 3 years already now, and I want to just show you another view of the rifle. Okay, I got a tritium front sight and 416 Ruger, and Mason Leather can stamp these nice designs onto the back of your cartridge cuff. You just specify what you want. So that's the rifle, guys. 20-inch barrel. I want to just show you guys the rounds I'm going to be shooting at the sheet metal. So I'm going to be shooting these 2 rounds. On the left, I have the Hornady Dangerous Game Solid. This is a 400 grain bullet. It has a steel jacket and a high antimony lead core. And it has a muzzle velocity of 2,400 feet per second and a muzzle energy of around 5,100 foot-pounds. And I have actually chronographed this load as well as this load. So all the numbers I'm telling you, I have confirmed with chronograph testing. And if you want to see those chronograph tests, I'll leave a link in the top right corner of this video. You can also check out my 416 Ruger playlist. And I have all of my 416 Ruger content there, including penetration tests and velocity tests. So this is a steel jacketed bullet. It's got a round nose, okay? This is the box right here. It's the Hornady Dangerous Game series, okay? And these have been proven to be very effective. I penetrated through 26 Douglas fir 2x10 framing joists with this round. Absolutely insane. And then the other round we're going to be using is a Buffalo Bore 350 grain mono metal. And this one is a solid copper bullet, okay? So it's a little bit softer material than the DGS. The DGS has a steel jacket. This is just solid copper, but it's 350 grains. It's got this nice flat nose, and it has a muzzle velocity of 2,675 feet per second and a muzzle energy of 5,500 foot-pounds, which is almost as much energy as a 458 lot So it's extremely powerful. So I'm going to shoot both of these rounds at the sheet metal from a distance of 50 yards. And we're going to see how many sheets of 16 gauge steel sheet metal these rounds can penetrate through. I'm really excited to do this test. And at the end of the test, I'm going to show you guys the sheets of metal. We're going to take a closer look at them. I'm going to try to recover the bullets, and we'll do a more in-depth analysis. So take a guess. How many sheets do you think this elephant gun 416 Ruger will penetrate through? 16 gauge sheet metal, solid steel. Let's see what happens, guys. All right, guys, 416 Ruger versus 16 gauge sheet metal. How many sheets do you think it'll go through? This is a Ruger M77 Hawkeye guide gun. First shot is going to be with the Hornady 400 grain dangerous game solid. This thing generates over 5,000 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. It's a steel jacketed bullet with a high antimony lead core. So let's see what happens here, guys. I shot that with no muzzle brake, guys. Off the bench, the recoil was massive. Let's go see what happened. All right, guys, there's my hit with the 416 Ruger 400 grain dangerous game solid, 5,100 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, steel jacketed bullet with a high antimony lead core. Let's see how many of these 16 gauge sheets of steel this bullet penetrated through. Okay, so perfect hit. Let's just examine the first hole there. Look at that, guys. Look down in there. You can see all the sheets that it passed through. That's just absolutely insane. But nice clean cut. You can actually see a little bit of the jacket material stuck on the steel there. So the steel probably shredded off the jacket as it passed through. That is just absolutely insane. So let's see how many sheets, guys. Take a guess. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 sheets, guys. 18 sheets of 16 gauge steel sheet metal. That is just absolutely insane. And the hole is just absolutely massive. And it looks like it actually bent this one right here. You can see it actually bent it, but look at the exit holes, guys. It just absolutely shredded the steel. Check that out. Just punched right through like a hot knife through butter. 18 sheets of 16 gauge steel sheet metal. Look at that. That is just absolutely insane. I just cannot believe it penetrated that many sheets, guys. So there's the bullet there. Look at the bullet, guys. The bullet is just absolutely mangled. It's probably, I'm sure it's probably very hot. I'm kind of afraid to touch it. Yeah, it's hot. And this is really interesting. Actually, what happened is the bullet didn't even really flatten out much, but it looks like you can see what looks like coins. They look like little coins in front of the bullet there. And basically what it did was it just punched the holes in the steel like a hole puncher that you use to punch paper. And you can see the little steel rings there, okay? Little like coins. So I'm gonna take this out, I'm gonna let it cool, and we're gonna take a closer look at it, and we're gonna take a closer look at the sheet metal as well. But you see what happened here? The bullet is actually still intact. Nothing really happened to the bullet. And this part right here, all these pieces of metal here, that's actually the sheet metal. So this bullet punched through like a hole puncher punching through paper. You know when you use a hole puncher and you get those little round pieces of paper after you use it? That's basically what happened here. That is just absolutely insane. Very, very impressive, guys. So I'm gonna let this thing cool down. We're gonna take another shot now with the Buffalo Bore 350 grain monolithic metal bullet, and that's a copper alloy bullet. And we'll see how many sheets that one penetrates through. My guess is it won't penetrate through as much because it's made of copper, but it should be interesting to see what happens. And I'm gonna also take these sheets home and we're gonna take a closer look at them once I get home and really analyze up close what happened. So let's see what happens with the 350 grain mono metal now. So 18 sheets with the 400 grain Dangerous Game Solid 16 gauge sheet metal. That is just absolutely insane. All right, guys. So now I got the Buffalo Bore 350 grain mono metal. This one travels at around 2,675 feet per second. I have chronographed it, and that's about 5,500 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, which is almost as much as a 458 lot, and that's out of this 20-inch barrel. So let's see what happens here. All right, let's go check it out. All right, guys, so here's our shot with the Buffalo Bore 350 grain monometal. You can see a bunch of copper got stripped away in this first sheet, but look how many sheets it went through, guys. Look down there, went through a lot. Let's count how many. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Okay, it just penetrated the 14th sheet. Check that out, guys. And it dented the 15th sheet. You see a pretty big dent there. But look at those exit holes. That is just absolutely insane, guys. Check that out. Monstrous power, 416 Ruger. Absolutely insane penetration with this rifle. 14 sheets of 16 gauge sheet metal with the solid copper bullets, and 18 sheets with the Hornady Dangerous Game solid steel jacketed bullet. So I'm going to take these sheets home now, and we're going to take a closer look at them, and we're going to take a closer look at the bullets. So stay tuned. And I was able to recover the 350 grain monometal, and we're going to take a closer look at these bullets after looking at the sheet metal. All right, guys, let's take a look at these sheets now. So I actually did some other tests on the same day as this test. I did 300 Win Mag and 308. So that's what these other holes are. These were my 2 hits with the 416. And you can see the jacket material got scraped off in this first sheet, especially that monometal. You can see a lot of the copper got scraped off, okay? And here's the back of that first sheet. You can see these clean exit holes there, okay? Here's the second sheet, okay? Here's the back of the second sheet, these two right here. Here we have the third sheet, these two right here. And here's the back of the third sheet. These were the 2 shots right there. Here we have the fourth sheet. You can see the holes are starting to get bigger now. Okay, check that out. And the steel is starting to get pushed in more. Okay. Here's the back of the fourth sheet. Here's our 2 shots there. Here's the fifth sheet. Here's the 2 416 rounds. There's the back of the fifth sheet. Here we have the sixth sheet. All right, so there's our 2 holes in the sixth sheet. Here we have the 7th sheet. Here's our 2 shots right there. The holes are starting to get bigger, and they're starting to change their shape. They're no longer perfectly round. You can see they're a little bit like, they're like a little bit oval now. Here's the 8th sheet. Okay, you can see they're more oval now. Okay. See that? They kind of look like they're keyholing a little bit at this point. And here's the back of the 8th sheet. Look at that piece of metal that got bent out of the way. That's pretty crazy. Check that out. That's really sharp, actually. It's like razor sharp. Check that out. It's just lots and lots of power. This was the 350 grain monometal, and this was the 400 grain DGS. Here we have the 9th sheet, and you can see they're still keyholing a little bit, but actually it looks like the 350 grain monometal is keyholing much, much more than the DGS. The DGS looks like it's still pretty much going straight through, It's just maybe canted a little bit up, and that could have just been the angle that I was shooting at. I was kind of shooting at an upward angle a little bit. So the DGS definitely maintaining a straight line through this steel better than the 350 grain monometal. The monometal's really keyholing much more, okay? And it's more evident in this exit hole. You can see, look at that piece of steel that was just peeled back. That's thick steel, guys. This is not like thin steel. This is 16 gauge steel, so it's quite thick, okay? You're not going to just punch through this. Even with a knife, it would be hard to punch through. You'd probably break the tip of your knife. This is pretty thick stuff here, okay? And look at that sharp piece of metal there. But the DGS, not really keyholing at all. All right, guys, here we have the 10th sheet. The DGS still not really keyholing as much as the monometal. Here's the back of the 10th sheet there. Check that out. Pretty crazy. Here we have the 11th sheet. Okay. Here's the back of the 11th sheet. Man, that's a huge hole. I could fit my whole thumb in that hole. Check that out. And I can fit my pinky through this one. Here we have the 12th sheet. Here's the back of the 12th sheet. Here we have the 13th sheet. And here's the back of the 13th sheet. So I guess I was wrong. I guess it wasn't really keyholing. Maybe it was just some of the material as the bullet was penetrating through. It was pushing the material out of the way, and like those little discs of metal that got stuck in the front of the bullet as they were forcing their way through the sheet metal, they created a larger wound in the metal. So looks like they were still just punching clean straight through. Look at that, guys. That is just absolutely insane. And here we have the 14th sheet, and this is the last sheet that the 350 grain monometal penetrated through. And look at that dent. It left a huge dent. Okay, deformed it quite a bit. Look at that. That is just absolutely insane. So, just crazy power, guys. Crazy power. Just, I mean, I can't even bend this metal. This is, I mean, if I really tried, I could, but I'd probably cut myself. But this is thick. I mean, this is, I'm putting force on this, and it's not even bending at all, really. So that's just absolutely insane. And then here we have the 15th sheet. You can see the dent there from the 350 grain monometal. Left a big dent. Check that out, guys. Massive dent. Okay, in the 15th sheet. Here we have the 16th sheet. There's the back of the 16th sheet, and it just punched that clean hole there, just like a hole puncher that you would use in grade school to punch your papers and put them in your binder. Just a clean punch through this metal. And it looks deceiving on the camera. It looks like this is just like some cheap metal that you can easily bend, but this is thick stuff, guys. This is a 1/16 of an inch thick, so it's thick steel. And here we have the 17th sheet, okay? Look at the back of the 17th sheet there. Pretty insane. That's just crazy. And then here we have the 18th sheet. This is the last sheet that the DGS penetrated through. And check that out, guys. That is just insane how, I mean, I'm pushing on this metal. Ugh. I can't even bend it down. This is just crazy. Look at that. Insane power. And then here we have the 19th sheet, and you can see just a little dent in it. Okay, stopped by the 19th sheet. So that's a lot of penetration, guys. Each one of these sheets is a 1/16 of an inch thick. So if you do the math, 18 sheets is going to be 1.1 inch of steel that the 416 Ruger DGS punched through. I'd say that's pretty impressive. And the 350 grain monometal penetrated through 14 sheets, so that's just under an inch of steel. Very impressive. So let's take a closer look at these bullets now, and let's weigh them and see what kind of weight retention they got. All right, guys, so here are our bullets, and I tried to actually separate those discs of metal from the DGS, and they're like fused together, and I don't want to hurt myself or anything, so I'm not going to be able to weigh this one because it's got all those discs of metal. But check that out, guys. That just looks absolutely crazy. Look at that. It's still mostly intact. The core is still in the jacket. Okay, this is a steel jacketed bullet, and you can see the core stayed inside, and it pretty much maintained its shape for the most part. It didn't really deform a whole lot for punching through 1.1 inch of steel. And just look at all those discs of metal there. That's just impressive. I don't know how many there is there, but it looks like it's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At least 9 discs of metal that just basically like swaged themselves together on top of the nose of this bullet. Looks pretty crazy there. But I'm impressed, guys. And then here's our 350 grain mono metal. I'm actually really impressed by this one. I thought it would get more messed up because copper's a lot softer than steel, but this is pretty impressive, guys. Look at that. It flattened out a little bit, obviously, but I'd say that's pretty good for punching through almost 1 inch of steel. So definitely very effective for a dangerous game. If it can punch through 1 inch of steel, it can punch through pretty much anything. So let's weigh this one and see what kind of weight retention we got. Wow, almost 100% weight retention, 346.3 grains. So it only lost 3 grains. Wow, that is just so impressive, guys. I can't believe that. And then here were the discs that were attached to it, and I was able to separate it. Check that out. Okay, it just fit right in there like that, and we got a bunch of discs of steel there. Just absolutely crazy. You can actually see the friction discolored some of the metal there. You can see like black colors there on some of the discs, so that's pretty cool. But that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I'm going to be doing more tests with sheet metal, so stay tuned to my channel for more sheet metal tests, and I have an entire playlist dedicated to the sheet metal tests. I'll leave a link to that in the top right corner of this video. That's all I got for now. Take care. May God bless you. May God bless America. And don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.